Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. We are continuing to cover the assassination of Charlie Kirk. None of the information coming out makes sense. The official narrative has so many holes and contradictions in it, and I am not satisfied or convinced that Tyler Robinson was the sole perpetrator at all. I think that we need to critically examine the information coming out. There are a lot of influencers that are rushing to put out information, some of which is false because they want to be first to get something out there or get their take out there. And there are people who are shaming others, people like myself, who are trying to objectively examine the situation and look at a variety of possible suspects with motives. People are maligning us as conspiracy theorists, as truthers, and I think that that is bizarre. I think it's premature to rule out potential suspects when we really haven't gotten any answers at all about this. So I'm just going to go ahead and share some information that I have found that I haven't really seen other people covering. This would be the missionary aspect to this. So this is allegedly Tyler Twiggs, the father of Lance Twiggs, who we are told is the roommate and I guess potential lover of Tyler Robinson. This is the father, allegedly, just gonna add that caveat, in Colombia, or part of the Colombia Bogota South LDS mission from 1994. So this is from the Daily Spectrum. This is dated December 2nd, 1994. And under the list of missionaries, you see Tyler Twiggs here. So is this the father of Lance Twiggs, or is this somebody related to him? I find that to be interesting. Tyler Twiggs of St. George will serve in the Columbia Bogota South LDS mission. His farewell was November 27 at the St. James LDS Chapel. His parents are Jerry and Christine Twiggs. Very interesting information. And this is interesting because these missionaries, Mormon missionaries, are the perfect cover for a covert intelligence operative. I believe that they're, not just the CIA, but the FBI recruits from missionaries because they actually go to foreign countries. A lot of times they'll study foreign languages. They'll actually embed on these missions into the culture and maybe do 2 years there. So that is the perfect cover and also kind of the perfect background that you would be looking for an intelligence operative. From Andy No, Twiggs was raised in a devout Mormon family, but said he left the faith. On the r/ex-Christian subreddit, he claimed he was expelled from his family home after refusing religious spiritual help. And there is a post here from Michael King. There's a whole lot of overlap between such federal spook agencies and Mormon power centers. The FBI and CIA heavily recruit from Mormon missionaries, and Mormon missionary training causes them to be quote-unquote mistaken for CIA. Standard for both is learning to code switch foreigners' culture. Absolutely. So I actually grabbed these two things that he was referencing here. The first one comes from the CIA reading room documents. Mormon missionaries say they are taken for CIA. So you can see here, Salt Lake City, October 4, Mormon missionaries abroad traveling in pairs, clad in white shirts and black ties and wearing close-cropped hair, are being mistaken for agents of the CIA. Quote, "I was accused of being CIA," said Floyd Rose, a former missionary in Spain, who is now a student at the church's Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah. "We were different than most Americans, and some of the people really believed it." He said he was asked about the CIA at least once every 2 weeks. People were always asking us, said Mike McQuain, another Brigham Young student. In France, he said people would ask us at doors and yell CIA at us as we went by. Jeff Turley said the label was a standing joke among Mormon missionaries in Peru. Some, he said, would tease Peruvians by pretending to speak into a shoe or buzzing digital watch. Or a buzzing digital watch. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which has more than 30,000 missionaries worldwide, denies any connection with the agency, which has done much recruiting in predominantly Mormon Utah. This summer, the agency conducted a radio advertising campaign in Utah. Charles Jackson, an agency recruiter, said more than 100 replies came in. Jackson said the agency was looking for overseas case officers, intelligence analysts, scientists, and computer specialists. The latter two categories present a problem because of competition from the industry. Utah is one of our good sources, said Jack Hansen, a CIA recruiter based in Denver, who is now working at Brigham Young. We've never had any trouble placing anyone who has applied to the CIA, said Dr. Gary Williams, head of the school's Asia Studies Department. He said former Mormon missionaries had 3 qualities the agency desired: foreign language ability, training in a foreign culture, and experience living in a foreign country. He added, our Mormon culture has always been more supportive of the government than American culture as a whole. What a bizarre thing to say, don't you think? In the late 60s and 70s, when there was negativism on many university campuses about the agency and other government units, the church continued to encourage students to accept jobs in public service. Dr. Williams said a sense of conformity and respect for authority Mormons learn as missionaries, as well as their abstinence from drugs and alcohol, might appeal to the CIA. However, he said the experience could be disillusioning for some. He said many former students found they were stuck in Washington office translating newspaper articles. A prominent Mormon missionary who worked for the CIA but did not like it, Neil Maxwell, a member of the Council of 12 Apostles, the church's governing body. Maxwell said he had done economic analysis for the agency for about a year, but left 30 years ago. Very interesting. So just think about that. Then there's this article here, Why Mormons Make Great FBI Recruits. What sparked rumors of a Mormon mafia, from November of 2015, when the Pew Research Center surveyed Mormons in America about their place in society. More than 60% of participants said Americans are uninformed about Mormonism. Mormons make up about 2% of the American population, around the same as the Jews, but they're not sure the rest of the country quite understands or accepts them. Overwhelmingly, Mormons describe misperceptions about their religion and lack of acceptance in society, but there's at least one place in American society where Mormons have found an unusual degree of acceptance: in agencies like the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the CIA, which see Mormons as particularly desirable recruits and have a reputation for hiring a disproportionate number of people who belong to the Church of Latter-day Saints. While this comes as a surprise to most people in Washington, and particularly among people who work with or report on intelligence and law enforcement, it is common knowledge. So that's just something to think about. Moving on here, I may have located the Charlie Kirk shooter Patsy, Tyler Robinson's uncle, judging from his mother's Facebook photos of a recruitment event at the kid's Air Force hat. Michael Robinson, an info systems security manager with the Air Force, who was stationed at Hill Base in the Salt Lake City area from approximately 2015 to 2021, he recently relocated to Japan. So, if this is indeed Tyler Robinson's uncle, and he is in the Air Force. I find that very interesting. And apparently, he's done cybersecurity work as well, information system security manager, full time at the Air Force. Very interesting indeed. So, yeah, this is just a picture of Robinson with his family from a few years ago. So it is kind of odd. Now, this is Lance Twiggs, the roommate of Tyler Robinson and purported lover, who is apparently helping the FBI, assisting the FBI. And I always wonder when I see things like this. I mean, this kid, former Mormon too, very odd.
For Christmas, I got one of those cookie boxes, but here's the magic part. Watch this. There are actually cookies inside of here, and I've never seen that in my life.
Okay, so this is the kid that we are told is the lover that is transitioning from male to female. But if you listen to that video, he still has the voice of a man, still looks like a man, just dressed as in the Lane Serial Experiments Lane cosplay outfit there. So that's interesting. Days of Noah says new right conservatism appears to be ushering in panopticon surveillance systems for digital civics, ending what is left of American liberty. Spiritual alchemy and false light churchianity are being used at the political level to bifurcate the masses into choosing slavery. That was in response to this cat turd tweet. Two things happening right now. The world is seeing just how evil the left is. The world is seeing just how peaceful the right is. So this is this false dialectic, false paradigm for political parties that we know are really owned and controlled by the same corporate donors and, elites, essentially. They are now mocking Charlie Kirk's passing by printing his name on bombs that will be used to murder men, women, and children. He would have never done this. This is the bizarre, disturbing behavior of these people in the aftermath of this event that makes what they're doing very suspicious. It's not, I haven't even posted any clips of like Max Blumenthal or Candace Owens or any of the things that they have been saying. The thing that made me immediately suspicious of the Care Bears was, number one, the fact that I have read Ronan Bergman's book, Rise and Kill First, about their targeted assassination program, in which they have conducted over the course of their history as a state, so only going back to 1948, over 2,300 targeted assassinations around the world. They have a unit devoted to this, Kidon unit, as I talked about. And it's just the weird going on to, BB's I Didn't Do It tour, Yossi Cohen, former head of Mossad, putting out a statement claiming that they don't do these assassinations ever, which is, directly contradicted by mountains of evidence, including the fact that not long ago, a Mossad operative went on 60 Minutes to brag about the pagers in Lebanon. There were 3,000 of them. He talked about how they had this patience, right, in doing this operation, how they created shell companies, how they worked with the manufacturers to, start, putting these explosives into the pagers, how they waited 3 years until they had been, enough of them had been dispersed to make their move, their patience, their cunning, their ingenuity, like they were bragging about it. He literally said they are the world's biggest production company and that the world is their stage. So it is that behavior, and it is the things that they have been doing. I mean, hello, that make people question them as potential suspects. And I am suspicious of certain influencers online who are calling anybody who questions this or looks into this a conspiracy theorist or a truther in a derogatory way. I think that it's premature to rule out any potential suspects. And I find it interesting that they have completely rolled out, a country that they are themselves routinely talking about. So it's bizarre. Moving on, Wesley Yang here does have a good point about this ideology, right? Responding to Andy No saying, I have been warning about the emerging phenomenon for several years. It's really not that puzzling when you look at the messaging from mainstream trans propaganda. They explicitly call for their comrades and fellow allies to take violent direct action. And yeah, like we see these signs, that these people constantly wave about. Wesley says it's difficult to be more specific, direct, or forthright than the Transformers movement leaders and allies have been about their open, uninhibited, unashamed advocacy for violence, celebration of it in its aftermath, or immediate recourse to self-pitying narratives of their own victimization after one of their cohorts strikes at others in lieu of any repentance, remorse, or compassion for victims. Absolutely. The dominant theme on Blue Sky after Charlie's passing was calls for the next one to occur. If someone can show me a Transformer activist ally saying, guys, this is wrong, I'd love for you to show it to me. I haven't seen one. And this is just post after post on Blue Sky of these insane and unhinged people celebrating this, mocking, laughing, gloating, and then saying they want to see more of it. It is disgusting behavior. These people are demonically deceived. They are deluded, and they need to repent. Every Transformer's rights, quote unquote, is an imperious demand for special privileges, all of which are exacted from the rights of others. None are demands for equality. All of these demands are backed by the credible threat of punishment or violence. That is absolutely true. And I agree with that. Now, this is just another interesting aspect to this that I didn't know about. Robert was an architect, Charlie's father, who designed the Trump Tower in New York City. We have here, this was some of the stuff going around claiming to have found the social media accounts of Tyler Robinson. This was one of them, Crafton 24/7. And Wesley said, still waiting on the media to catch up to and confirm or debunk what was posted on Twitter yesterday. I wonder if the FBI has. Yeah, that's an important thing to acknowledge. Are these accounts that we were being told are, belong to Lance Twiggs or Tyler Robinson? Has any of this been confirmed? How do you know that this is the right account? It is interesting. Also, this is obviously true. Assume the feds can see all of your Discord messages. Obviously. The police officer did not seem to realize that the Atlanta man hadn't posted a photo of the shooter, just another t-shirt with the same design. But the cop did know he'd sent the image to the private chat. Given that the call came from the same city as the eBay seller, it wasn't clear how the police had access to his private Discord chat. The FBI or intel community evidently is monitoring Discord private messaging, even from people who have broken no law. So, yeah, that was in response to Ken Klippenstein, who somehow always gets the manifestos, and releases them first. Interesting. The FBI is watching your social media posts about Charlie Kirk. Well, this begs the question about the Discord chat we are told that he was in, and with a number of people where the authorities, the, people running the FBI at the moment were saying there were over 20 people in this and that they knew in advance and that there was planning happening. So this is just interesting. Now, this man has all but been forgotten about. This was the guy who appeared to have been acting as a second decoy. First, we had George Zinn. Then we had this individual with the pellet gun, and he was taken into custody. He was released, and no information about this guy has been forthcoming. This is what you see in like I hate to say, like a professional event, you know, where you would have these people acting as decoys to be arrested while the actual perpetrator has time to get away. And we've got George Zinn here too. It is very weird, guys. And then there was this. After George Zinn was arrested for, you know, acting as the first decoy, creating a massive distraction, he was charged with 4 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor Tuesday after investigators found more than 20 images of kids as young as 5 years old in disturbing situations. And it's not just that. It appears that he was caught up in a larger sting operation. So this begs the question too. Was he being monitored by the feds prior to this event also? I haven't seen anybody talking about that, but go read some of the disgusting things he said about his attraction to minors. You can go get the charging documents and read that yourself. Very disturbing. Then we have this goofball, Mikey Rothschild. We all remember this loser. Calls himself a quote-unquote disinformation expert, talking about people questioning the official narrative about Charlie Kirk. He says, all these theories essentially have a hint of anti-Care Bearism, and anti-Care Bearism is based around conspiracies. Like, what?
Disinformation expert Mike Rothschild and former FBI and CIA Special Agent Tracy Walder.
So we've got a CIA, FBI, Fed woman here, and Mikey Rothschild, who is also a government stenographer and mouthpiece, that are being brought on to News Nation to control the narrative.
Great to have you both here. Mike, how do these spread? And by the way, why are we seeing so many anti-Semitic conspiracy theories right now?
Well, as I wrote about in one of my books, all conspiracy theories essentially have a hint of anti-Semitism, and all anti-Semitism is based around conspiracy theories. It's very natural for an unexpected traumatic event like Charlie Kirk's murder, caught on camera in front of hundreds of people, instantly broadcast around the world, to send people spinning off into wild theories of...
Wild theories. It's just all crazy. You know, I mean, yeah. Then we had this, which I did include a screenshot of this in my past video, but I wanted to comment on this more broadly. Military leaders consider recruiting campaigns centered on Charlie Kirk. Possible slogans discussed include, Charlie has awakened a generation of warriors. There is talk of using Turning Point USA chapters as recruitment centers. Isn't that bizarre? Do we not find this strange at a time when recruitment to the military has been at all-time lows because we are sick of the forever wars in the Middle East? We are sick of our best men being sent into the meat grinder on behalf of a foreign country, not America's interests. No. I find this to be strange. Pentagon leaders are considering a new recruiting campaign that would encourage young people to honor the legacy of Charlie Kirk by joining the military. As far as I know, Charlie Kirk was not a veteran. He didn't fight in the military. This is strange. It's gross, to be honest, to use this as a chance to recruit more of our good young men so that they can go off and die in foreign countries. What is going on here? That could include inviting recruiters to be present at events or advertising for the military at TPUSA chapters, one of them explained. The officials did not know what the timing would be for rolling out a possible new recruitment campaign, and it's not clear if it ultimately will happen. The idea is facing resistance from some Pentagon leaders who privately warned those working on the effort that such a campaign could be perceived as the military trying to capitalize on what happened to Charlie Kirk. Kirk did not serve in the armed forces. That's exactly what it is. This is insane and bizarre. It's wrong. Oh, but it gets even more interesting. Last night, the spokesperson for TPUSA put out this statement. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize. This is somewhat graphic, but in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said the bullet, quote, absolutely should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc., but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, it was an absolute miracle someone else didn't die. His bone was so healthy, and the density was so impressive that he's like the Man of Steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have harmed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable, miraculous. So this is a strange story because we are now over a week after this event. This happened September 10. We are now at September 21st. And so it's been over 10 days. People had been asking, you know, where's the autopsy? Where is the bullet? Like, how can we even tie this to the rifle without that information? And so I found that strange. And of course, Eric Doherty, just one of these mouthpieces. Wow, Charlie stopped the bullet from potentially hitting someone behind him, even though it should have gone through his body. Like, just repeating this uncritically, I find it very strange, okay? This is weird. Like, we're supposed to believe this Man of Steel. His bones were so dense, they were as strong as steel. What? What? And as Robert points out, even if there was no conspiracy, they seem to be doing everything in their power to convince us that one does exist. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but this is strange. So we have here from SG Anon, TPUSA statement earlier tonight, relayed by Andrew Colvett via the X social media platform, would have you believe a rifle capable of splitting all three interior walls inside a construction-grade cinder block somehow managed to not even break through a human neck. And this is the video.
All right, first shot, Ruger American 30-06, Winchester Super X 180 grain round. Let's take a shot at these cinder blocks.
I don't know, guys. It seems a little weird to me. Like, you see the video, and I am by no means an expert on gunshot wounds. I'm not a firearms expert, but it just seems bizarre to me that we are to believe this when other people who have more experience with those things than myself have said that actually those rounds, not only can they go through the thicker muscles and skin of a moose or like a bear, they can also go right through a tree trunk. Okay, This is strange. And Chris Martinson says, this is next level BS. The standard 30-06 round will go all the way through 14-inch pine trees with ease. I'm sorry, but this story isn't true. Also, the pounds of force would have pushed Charlie's head backwards violently if it stopped the bullet completely. I was asked to suspend simple laws of physics on 9/11. I am not doing it this time either. Yeah, this is what it looks like after passing through 17 1-inch pine boards. So if it can tear through that, I mean, I don't know, with the velocity of it too, that's like what? How many pounds of force coming at you? Really? Charlie Kirk, Man of Steel, protecting others to the bitter end. Why are they talking like this? This is strange. It does seem to be some kind of propaganda effort that people like Mike Lee are trying to politically capitalize on, which I find disturbing. Not only was Charlie Kirk the second coming, he was the Man of Steel who could stop a high-powered rifle round passing through his body to, quote, save the lives of those around him. What is wrong with you people? Yeah, that is my thought. What is wrong with these people? And to make it even more, ridiculous, the firearm Tyler Robinson allegedly used was so old it predated serial number mandates, making it impossible to track. How convenient. The Mauser model rifle, described in text by Robinson as Grandpa's rifle, is a decades-old German-made gun used in both world wars and on the market years before a law created after JFK mandated weapons be etched with unique traceable numbers. Huh. Okay. So we've got a Man of Steel, we have an untraceable firearm, very interesting, and of course we have talks of firing squads.
Our U.S. Attorney in Utah is working hand in hand with the district attorney out there. The district attorney has indicted for first-degree murder and other charges. They are seeking the death penalty, and the firing squad is still on the table in the state of Utah, among other things. So it's indicted in the state, and we're working hand in hand to decide when and if we will indict federally as well. What we will all be sure of is this guy never sees the light of day.
Interesting. Why do we not want this guy to see the light of day? Like, I certainly want to see a trial with like actual evidence of a motive beyond them just saying, oh, he is hateful and some hate can't be negotiated with. Like, that is not a real motive. To drive 4.5 hours away to do something like this, I mean, that's just strange, guys. And one final thing I'll leave it on, we have Greg Schaefer. This is coming from Vox Veritas. Let me get this straight. Here we have Greg Schaefer, ex-FBI, owner of Schaefer Security Group, the company that employed Dan Flood, the guy that's always behind Charlie, immediately going on multiple news stations to discuss the shooting and advise people as to what the FBI is doing. Nothing odd about that at all. What's the liability for a security company that does nothing beyond standing there and allows the person they're protecting to be taken out? Nothing. He claims that they stopped working with Charlie in 2022, although he adds there's no proof of that, and you can clearly see Dan Flood right behind him. Greg claims it would have been near impossible to put a few men on the only roofs in the area and quote-unquote too expensive. So this is Schaefer here to the left, and he claims that he hasn't worked for Charlie Kirk's security since 2022. Here he is going on another news outlet.
To discuss the latest information about Charlie Kirk's assassination, joining us now is Greg Schaefer, retired FBI special agent on the elite hostage rescue team. He's also the principal and chief operation officer for the Active Shooter Prevention Project.
Interesting. Active shooter prevention project. That's just interesting. Dan Flood. So we've got pictures here. Schaefer Security Group. This is October 8, 2020. Interestingly, the same day that the FBI arrested the Whitmer guys who they framed for another hoax. SSG is proud and honored to call Dan Flood one of our senior security specialists. Dan is a leader on SSG and is a former U.S. Marine and professional model. What? He is one of the original SSG team members and brings experience, professionalism, leadership, and customer service to our valued clients. So that's interesting. You see him here with Tucker. He's here at a TPUSA event. In these images, here he is with Lion Ted Cruz, who can never tell the truth. He's here with Pete Hegseth, and you can see him at one of these events, you know, clearly doing security. So this is Schaefer Security here, and we need to find out if they were still in the employ of TPUSA and Charlie Kirk when this happened, because I find that to be strange. Dan Flood, head of security, Schaefer Security Group, Echelon Front. Very odd stuff here. Founder of Schaefer Security Group, Greg Schaefer, FBI 20 years, used to do security until 2022. However, this same Schaefer Security can be seen at UVU. Greg posts frequently about Islamic terror threats and pro-Care Bear propaganda. Ben Schaefer, Greg's brother. Ben is to the right of the president in the famous July 13 Butler photo. In the video below, Ben is the man in the middle sitting next to Prince, Eric Prince, speaking on working private security. Leif Babin, co-founder of Echelon Front, along with John Wilnick, David Burke, Leif Babin, Cody Gandy, Steve Ward, Greg Schaefer, Wilnick, Babin, and David Flood, head of security for TPUSA, can be seen below in front of Echelon Front logo. Leif Babin is closely connected to GINZA, the Care Bear Institute of National Security of America, New York Cabinet, a powerful think tank on U.S. Care Bear defense policy. Brian Babin, a congressman from Texas. Leif Babin's father is chairman of the House Science, Space, and Tech Committee, a member of the House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure. On September 10, Babin attended U.S. Chamber of Commerce's Global Aerospace Summit. Babin is very close to the president and heavily involved with all congressional bills pushing Care Bear defense funding. The Big Beautiful Bill, AI technocratic surveillance, aeronautics. Very interesting. Brian Babin seen in pic below, celebrating the passing of the Big Beautiful Bill, standing in front of a painting in the White House depicting the events that transpired at Butler. Ben Schaefer is the black shirt guy in security detail to the right of Charlie Kirk, was also at Butler. So that's interesting. You can see him pictured here. Here he is at the event right behind Charlie Kirk. He's apparently was at Butler as well. Here's Ben Schaefer testifying next to Eric Prince and Dan Bongino.
Provided security services to the President of the United States and other high-ranking members in the United States government. I have protected diplomatic persons, high net worth corporate clients, media personalities, investigative journalists, and the general public.
Okay. We have here a group of these individuals. You have Wilnick here, Schaefer here, Babin here, and we do not know the identity of these other individuals. And here's Brian Babin posting in front of the picture, artistic rendition of what happened at Butler. So this is all very bizarre, very concerning things. And I don't know, guys. I'm not sure I believe the Man of Steel, the idea that bone density could stop a bullet like that. And then just the other weird aspects to this, the lack of a serial number on the Mauser, and, you know, the missionary stuff, the potential connection between Lance Twiggs, maybe even Tyler Robinson's family and the intelligence community and the Air Force, if that is indeed Tyler Robinson's uncle. It's just all very strange, but I'm interested to know what you guys think, and I hope you all have a good day.